What's up, everyone? We got 35 of you guys in here. Any questions you guys got, feel free to fire away. Going to be on with my dog, Corey, for a little bit. Make sure if you guys aren't already subscribed to Corey, check him out on YouTube and Twitter as well. He drops a lot of game on wholesale stuff. Yeah, the chat's popping. Let me get some fucking W's in the chat too while we're at it as well. Let me see some W's rolling in as well, basically on that.
Yeah, the chat is popping. I was stuck on private chat there for a second. I was like, wait, where is everybody?
You boomer. Cool. You got the work. It's looking like it's on, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, dude, because I'll show you. We can check on my end. Right here, bada bing. Yeah, look at that. Oh, damn, no love in the thumbnail, boy. No love in the thumbnail.
Oh yeah, well, this is my first time setting this up to like go live at the same time.
Because what's funny is that's just your profile pic.
I know. There's no thumbnail. There's literally no thumbnail.
Is online arbitrage really simpler than people think? Bro, everything's more simple than people think. People just don't want to actually do the work that's required to get the results.
People overcomplicate stuff big time, whether it's online arbitrage, whether it's wholesale, whether it's private label. Everyone's got an opinion, and usually it's a lot simpler than people think. It's not necessarily easier.
Yeah. Fire. So we'll talk a little bit more about it too, Corey, but do you want to talk about the wholesale challenge a little bit while we're doing the live?
Yeah, definitely. So really that is why I wanted to hop on with Miles today. So if any of you guys follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen my tweet today where I've come out with the wholesale challenge. And so the wholesale challenge is going to be a live 7-day training where I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of how to start, scale, and manage a fully remote 7-figure wholesale business. So literally going to take 7 days straight to walk you through how to start a wholesale business just like mine. There's going to be a lot of bonus stuff included, guest interviews throughout the week. It's going to be crazy value packed. So if you're interested, you can check it out at wholesalechallenge.com. And then if you want to support your boy Miles here, you could use code Miles100, and that's actually going to get you $100 off, and it's going to get him a little bit of a kickback as well. So if you sign up, help your boy out because he gives you a lot of free game.
If you do want to rip some wholesale stuff, there's a full money back guarantee as well. Use the link that's in the description and email me after if you use the Miles code, and I'll send you some online arbitrage links as well. But either way, I want to hear all you guys wholesale questions because I want to learn some sauce too. We've had Corey on the podcast as well, so I want to ask questions. Your boy's gonna spit and everything. Okay, cool. Yeah, what are some categories for wholesale that you really like to do?
So as far as some of the ones we'll be going over, we're not going to be going over like any specific categories per se, but we're just going to be looking at like how to choose a niche and how to find certain suppliers as a whole. So those tactics can be applied to really any category. But if you're asking as far as like the categories that I prefer, so as of right now, and this is very unique, right? Usually most wholesale businesses are not like this. Our number one category is tools and home improvement. Our number two category is industrial and scientific. And then our number 3 is automotive. And usually industrial and scientific and automotive are kind of neck and neck. And then I believe grocery was a close fourth. And so because of that, because we're in those categories, our average sale price is a lot higher than most. It's been as high as $52 before, whereas most people who have a wholesale business, their average sale price is like $15, definitely less than 20 on average.
Yeah. That's what's up right there. That makes sense. Okay, yeah. Who will be speaking at the challenge? So it's you, Chris, as well. Who else is involved?
Yeah, so Chris is involved. So I'm going to be the one hosting it. So every night it's going to be a live session with me, at least 2 hours per night, and then there's going to be Q&A at the end as well. So I'm going to be answering all your questions. So I did promise. So there is going to be guest interviews throughout the week. There's going to be 4 different guest interviews with industry experts. It's going to be an interview with me. So I'm going to be asking them a lot of the common questions that people have for them. And then it's going to be a Q&A as well. So if you're attending those live, you're going to be able to pick their brains on any of your questions related to their trade. But for now, those are going to be a surprise. So the people that sign up are going to find out who those people are, and it's going to be very value packed. So I think people are going to get a lot out of those for sure.
Yeah, industrial. So like what even types of products are in the industrial category?
Dude, so there's so many different sub niches and subcategories within that main category that you wouldn't think of. So for example, we do some lighting. So like light bulbs, light fixtures, all the way down to like lamp fixtures, stuff like that, stuff that you wouldn't think of. There's stuff like door hardware. Some door hardware falls into industrial and scientific. So we sell a lot of think like locks and latches and pins and that type of stuff. Yeah, I mean, really just stuff that is not sexy. It's not, a beauty product that you just slap an FNSKU label on and you send 1,000 of them in a box to Amazon, right? It's stuff that weighs sometimes 25 pounds. It's categorized as oversized, so it's more expensive to ship. It's a lot of stuff that, like I said, you got to kind of jump through hoops to make it work. But there's just fewer people doing it, fewer people selling those kinds of products.
Yeah, a lot less competition too. Are you going to go to ASD in August?
I sell door hinges, LOL. Yeah, me too.
You're going.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to go to ASD. So we went back in March, and I mean, honestly, I'm really primarily going to ASD in August just to hang out with the suppliers that we met when we went back in March, because there's two suppliers in particular. One that we've spent multiple six figures with since we met him back in March. And then he's got like other companies at ASD that he works with, that he's partnered with, that if I go to meet him at ASD in August, he's going to introduce me to them. And it's going to be like just him kind of opening more doors for us.
Cool.
So I will be going to ASD.
This is a fire question. Are there certain niches like industrial that are typically unique to wholesale and wouldn't necessarily be an OA opportunity? Not as a blanket statement, but like pretty much as a blanket statement, I would say, right? Oh, did that? I know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be probably certain. Yeah, so there probably will be certain niches that lend themselves more to OA versus wholesale. Now, when it comes to like industrial products like that, my guess is that a tool like Tactile Arbitrage probably isn't going to have a ton of like, lighting supply stores or like welding supply stores, for example, on their list. So, I mean, people just don't know they exist. I bet that if you were to manually source with an OA mentality, some like niche tool websites with clearance sections, I guarantee you could find some OA products in those categories. But just in general, that particular category probably lends itself better to wholesale.
Yeah, and honestly, just in general, like basically everything's better for wholesale except toys, shoes, and clothing, I would say, and like sporting goods, right? More name brand stuff where you might buy it like in a retailer and such.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're also, I mean, think about it. There's some brands that don't sell through distribution. So like Nike, as far as I understand, you can't open like a distributor account and buy Nike through distribution. At least it's very, very, I believe Nike even only sells direct. So yeah, that type of stuff, OA all the way.
Cool. Is there a certain amount of capital? Is there a limit?
No, so there won't be a limit as far as how many people can join the challenge. It's a live challenge, and it kicks off July 10th. So we will be closing the cart the day before it starts. So if you don't sign up, you're out of luck.
Yeah, it's such an interesting model too. I think it's like pretty like awesome and unique, like the learning style. I assume there's a community that comes along with it too.
Yeah, so the bulk of the communication and all of the files, all the bonuses will be hosted in the Facebook group. So that's where we'll be doing a lot of the interaction, and that's where we'll be hosting the live calls. Pretty much everything is going to go down in the Facebook group, and I'll be in there as well, obviously answering questions, helping people out, and that's where we're going to be doing a lot of our interacting.
And I assume if you miss it live, all the recordings will be posted.
Yeah, so that is definitely a big draw, as well as, it will be, like I said, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at least for all 7 nights straight Eastern. So if for some reason you're West Coast and you miss it, or if you just miss it for whatever reason, you will have lifetime access to all the recordings, all of the guest interviews. You'll be able to access all the bonuses, lifetime access. So yeah, the only thing you'd miss by not being there live is participation in the Q&A, which, I mean, in my opinion, is a big piece of it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Sounds good, guys. Keep the questions coming. I know a lot of you guys are currently doing online arbitrage. You're ripping stuff. You got Keepa, you got SellerAmp. You're doing 10K a month in sales, 15K a month in sales. You might want to move further into that. I think you should definitely be looking to do wholesale as well. So any questions you guys got, feel free to fire away as well. Interesting. Can we invite VAs to the Facebook group to join the lives? It's an interesting question. That's dude serious if he's talking about it. So it's pretty interesting.
That is an interesting question. So, I mean, probably we do want to keep the Facebook group to be just actually folks that are participating in the live. But what you could do is you could download the videos and then you could share them with your VAs that way. And in fact, if I were you, I would probably do that. I'd probably download the recordings. I'd put them into your company's drive, and then obviously just share that with your VAs. That's going to be your best bet.
Yeah, I think some of the best stuff you can do for VAs is train them, and I think that's a great way to do it.
Yep.
Okay, you contact Amazon and let them know. Not sure what you mean on that. When scanning an item, we'll say it's good ROI. A day later, Amazon will take down the product and recommend the price is lower than the profit amount. They're not going to do that often. EggChem, I know you're a little bit newer. They're very, very rarely going to do that. Say that we only work with brick and mortar stores. All right, yeah, we got a little objection handling action. Let's see what you got here.
Yeah, so typically if a brand says they only work with brick and mortars, it's going to be hard to get over that. Usually that's just like a hard and fast requirement that they have. So you have two options in that case. One, you can look to partner with a brick and mortar store in your area. You could go to them and say, hey, and if let's just use the brand Kong, for example. Hey, I want to buy from Kong, but I need to have a brick and mortar store for them to work with me. If you're able to buy Kong through your store, I'd be willing to pay you a small fee in order to basically turn around and buy that product from you. And so that would be how you would arrange that. And some brands are going to be easy. It's going to be easier to pull that off for some brands than it is for others. But that's going to be pretty much your only workaround. The only other option is pretty much move on, because there are brands that will work with you if you don't have a brick and mortar.
I'm unable to find where to ungate in brands but not categories. It's the exact same process, Connor. Say you're gated in both the brand and the category. When you go to list a product, you're going to see options to apply for both of them. You're going to separately do the same product for both of them right there for both the ungating processes. I was a little, dude, friendly and safe. It'll work. Like you're worrying about the wrong stuff. It'll work. Have a really thin margin doing wholesale. I'd say that's definitely a blanket statement. That's absolutely not true. If there's people selling them, they're making money, and if they can do it, you can too. Basically, you're just not getting the right pricing, essentially.
Well, and to comment on that specifically about video games. So I actually this morning had an interview with one of my buddies. He was one of my wholesale mentors from like 4 years ago. He's an OG in the space. His whole business model was video games. Like that's all they were doing. They were buying video games and video game accessories from distributors. And they were doing at one point like $500,000 a month in revenue on Amazon, all video games. I will say they're not as heavy into video games anymore, but that as a category, every niche is profitable. It comes down to having the right contacts and the right suppliers. So that's pretty much where I'll leave that.
Cool. Where can I find your training on YouTube, my man? Check it out on there. See you in Miami next month. Sounds like a plan. Damn, these dudes have been having a full-on conversation.
Oh, and we have
yes.
This guy just donated $550 Canadian. I can't tell if he donated that to me or to you. I honestly have no idea since it's my first YouTube live. But thank you either way.
Is your channel monetized? It's got to be close, right?
No.
Oh, it's got to be close though, right?
I have like 3K watch hours.
Okay, here's what you gotta do. So what's interesting, right, is you're actually gonna get like, let me see what type of watch time an average lot. You're gonna knock out like 5%.
I remember you said that to do a lot of lives for if you need watch time.
Yeah, let me see, because I think you're cleaning up. Oh, dude, yeah. Holy shit. Okay, cool. So I'll leave this up because you're gonna get all the watch time on your channel. And so a live I did with John and Michaela from a week ago has gotten 100 hours of watch time, basically. So we can knock out, probably like, 110 requirement just with this. Yeah. So what he's saying is don't click off the
sure.
Let's get your boy Corey monetized on YouTube right there. That's actually pretty good banter. Homie just typed. He didn't even give a super chat. He just typed 0.99 right there. That's funny. Thank you that's love. Can I do wholesale in USA with the Canadian business using a prep center, or distributors only working with USA business? You can absolutely do it that way. You just might have to do some extra legal stuff, which I'm not sure the specifics of.
Yeah, there's plenty of people crushing it in wholesale. Some are in the UK, I talked to a guy, actually I had a consulting call today with a guy, he's in New Zealand. He's doing wholesale in the US. And I love the story because he started with wholesale. He had no idea what OA was, no idea what RA was, literally started with wholesale 5 months ago. And he's got a he's got an exclusive on the table with a 7-figure brand that he's in the late stages of negotiating. And so this guy's crushing it, you know, started, like I said, 4 or 5 months ago, based in New Zealand. I think that time zone difference is crazy different too. So it's definitely doable. Okay, so Connor asked, do I need to set up sales tax on my end, or does Amazon handle that aspect? So first of all, that's a question for your CPA. So you're going to want to get a CPA that is familiar with e-commerce. As far as collecting sales tax, so Amazon will collect and remit sales tax from all of your customers on your behalf. It is sometimes a challenge to explain that to suppliers that ask for your resale certificate. So bottom line, talk to a CPA that's versed in it. And when you get to needing that, you know, that's when I'd ask somebody more specifically.
Currently deep on OA, how much would you recommend to start wholesale with? I'd say like 3 to 10K. Like, but you start with what you got. Like the answer is always start with whatever you have. Like, sure.
I always say 3 to 5K and count for inventory at least.
Yeah, because like, I mean, if you got lower than that, like do arbitrage and stuff. But like at the end of the day, like this one dude emailed me today, like, how much do I need to start? It was like 1,000. He said like something like, how do I start? Like you got to do the bare requisite. And like if like
right.
Get started with whatever you got, you know. And he was like, what if you have less? If dude, you got less, get a fucking job too. But like that, and then like you really get like you're like it's a fucking emergency. Like if you know you don't have that
right.
to go start, that's exactly why you need to start hustling. Like get to the thrift store, start scanning books.
Yeah, that's how I started.
Yeah,
and yeah, build up that $500, $1,000 and start OA, and then build up that $3,000 to $10,000 and start wholesale.
That makes sense. How do you primarily find suppliers? How are we doing that? Cold call, cold email, and you got those sauce LinkedIn strategies as well. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so I mean, just as a prerequisite too. So finding suppliers is an entire day that the challenge is dedicated to. So we're going to spend an entire day during the challenge going over that. There's multiple different methods for how to do so, and like I said, I'm going to be going into more detail on that during the challenge. But from a high level, my favorite method for finding suppliers, for finding brands, is using Smart Scout to basically reverse source brands that meet a certain criteria, and then from there make a short list, find their contact information, and call them that way. My favorite method for finding distributors usually is just from Google searching certain distributors in a certain area in a certain category. We've found our best suppliers that way, and it works very well. But another very underrated tactic for finding distributors is calling up brands and asking them who their distributors are that service your particular area. So for example, my primary prep center is located in Savannah, Georgia. So I might call up a big brand like, let's say, a Procter and Gamble, or even like a Hasbro. You know, you're talking toys, and I might say, "Hey, I'm looking at buying X amount of your brand per month. I'm located. My warehouse is located in Savannah, Georgia. Would you mind putting me in touch with one of your authorized distributors that services Savannah?" Right, and that's all you've got to say, and then they're going to put you in touch with probably more than one distributor that services that area, and that distributor is also going to carry multiple other brands. So now you've got multiple other product leads from that one supplier.
Well, do you guys go live every day during this time? So definitely not every day, friendly and safe, but if you turn post notifications on, you'll be notified when I do go live. How do you usually go for test buy? I hardly go past 10 units or $200. Yeah, so you're Chad buying test buys these days. Hashtag no test buys. We should start that as a Twitter. But how do you think? Like, I assume you're probably doing significant unit counts to start, or how do you think about test buys?
Yeah, so it totally depends on the situation. So if it's a product that your supplier has ample supply on, they can fill an order at a moment's notice. It's going to be easy for you to get more of that product. Then test buy, right? You have no reason to go deep because you can always get more. But there's plenty of situations where a supplier offers us, it's called kind of an opportunity buy in the space, where they say, hey, for example, I've got 1,000 units of this product. This is the price. It's first come, first serve. And sometimes it's either take it or leave it, right? So I've got to buy all of that up front. I don't have the opportunity to test buy it, because if I don't buy it all, then I don't get any of it. And so in those cases, it just comes down to being confident in your analysis, right? And reading the Keep It graph, and then just making, at the end of the day, it's always an educated guess, but it's a educated guess with a high probability of success.
Yeah. So how are you keeping everything organized? Are you an Airtable guy or what do you use?
So we've pretty much used Google Sheets up until this point. We've tried a bunch of different softwares for inventory management, for cost management, that type of stuff. We're in the process of building out an Airtable that is going to act as pretty much like our business hub. So we're going to have all of our purchase orders stored in the Airtable, supplier database, product database, even all the way down to like our KPI dashboards and how we manage and how we like make management decisions within the business. So that's kind of the end goal. We're in the early stages of optimizing that Airtable build and just getting that kind of tweaked where it needs to be. But that's a long-term vision, and I think we'll be there within, months, not years. That's for sure.
Cool. Okay, this is a good one, dude. Because I figure these got to be decently high return rate products for what you would expect traditionally with wholesale. Or am I wilding on that?
So it really just depends on the product, and I've found that it's some categories are worse with returns than others, but sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. But some products might just get returned a lot. I want to say, and I don't know this number exactly off the top of my head. I could look it up, but this computer is very slow. I want to say our lifetime return rate is probably like 4%, four and
That's
a
what
half
mine.
percent, maybe something like that. Which, yeah. So I mean, again, at the end of the day, it balances out. It's not going to be crazy high. It's certainly not crazy low, but we also don't
Yeah,
sell like clothes and shoes, the stuff that does get returned a lot.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, yours is very high
yeah.
for wholesale, but like on the lower end for like a normal. You know what I mean? If we took like the average of all Amazon
Mhm.
business. Yeah.
Right.
So I use a BQL repricer. If you're interested in a free trial, you can check the link in the description onto that. Do you use a CRM tool? Yeah, it's a good question. What are you using for CRM and such? Just Google Sheets?
So, well, because of where we are in our business right now, so we're not even doing a whole lot of outreach to new
Yeah.
suppliers. We've got our core set of 6 to 10 to 12 suppliers that we can work with any given time. So we're not having to manage like a bunch of outreach and a bunch of prospecting, that type of stuff. However, when we were, at one point, we were using VinDrive, which is Dylan Carter, who created Aura, that repricer. It's his CRM specific for Amazon wholesale. I will say it's outdated. He made it like 2 years ago. They don't update it. It's cheap. It'll get the job done in the meantime. But like HubSpot's free version or a Google Sheet is all you need. You don't need to pay for a CRM in this business.
Interesting. And it also depends kind of how your brain works, though. And you know what I mean? Like some people really like, some of the applicable stuff on there and everything. Any
Yep.
grocery stuff? You moving any grocery stuff?
Yeah. So I think I said earlier, grocery is our fourth largest I think our fourth biggest category as far as like percentage of revenue. Off the top of my head, I don't even. I mean, we always have some grocery in stock. There's one brand that we started working with recently that they're a very high volume grocery brand, and we're in pretty late stages of exclusivity talks with them. I've gotten in pretty well with one of their higher ups. They get it as far as like what they need to do on Amazon to succeed. They've got too many sellers. Their pricing's all over the place. They just need someone who knows what they're doing to kind of help them out, and that's what we're offering. So that will be, once we start working with them closer and start really ramping up with them, that could make grocery like our second or our third biggest category in terms of percentage of revenue, just from that one brand.
Cool, makes sense. Finding it harder to get groceries ungated. You only got to do it once, man. Just give them a ton of information, and you'll be fine on that.
Well, and another thing about getting ungated too, and I have a lot of people DM me asking, "Hey, everything about my invoice is fine, but Amazon is rejecting it, so I can't get ungated." And there's been times where I'm not exaggerating. We've submitted the exact same invoice, no changes, no nothing, 7 times in a row. It gets rejected 6 times, and then the 7th time it gets approved. Nothing about it was different than the first 6 times. So sometimes you just gotta just spam it in there. Um, it helps to, like, if you have Microsoft Paint or if you're on a Mac, highlight the product, the ASIN, the price, your billing address, the fact that the invoice is paid, like highlight and make it very obvious and clear what they need to see.
Cool, cool,
So,
cool.
Miles, if you don't mind, Sammy said he joined a bit late and he asked if we could talk about the challenge. So, yeah, so Sammy, the wholesale challenge, it's going to be a live 7-day training on how to start, scale, and manage a fully remote 7-figure wholesale business. So, it's going to be 2 hours every night, 7 nights straight with me. I'm going to be screen sharing. I'm going to be showing you all the tactics, the ins and outs of how to do it. And then at the end of every call, we're going to do a Q&A for as long as we need to do to get everybody's questions answered. And then you're going to have lifetime access to all the replays as well. So if for some reason you can't make it one of the 7 nights, you will be able to access all the recordings, like I said, forever. And because of Miles, because I'm friends with Miles, because he's got a solid audience, and I like you guys, we've got a code with him where you can get $100 off if you're interested in signing up. So that code is going to be Miles100. If you use that at checkout, like I said, that's $100 off.
Yeah. And what you should do is when you do that, you want to email me. My email's in the description if you do decide to do it, and I'll send you some online arbitrage leads as well right there. So the person off camera is my friend Corey. I'm also on YouTube Live too, so that's why it's popping up on both ends right there.
Okay, Ethan had a question. He said, how are you drafting POs? Are you using a template?
Ooh,
so
I like that. I'm curious.
I like that too, because that's super tactical. So yeah, we're actually just using a template. So there is I believe we just found it on Google. We literally Googled purchase order template that we have saved in our Excel. And so anytime you go to submit a purchase order, it's very basic. It's just SKU, which is the supplier SKU, product title, which is the product title and the supplier's catalog. It is quantity, it's our cost, and then it's like subtotal. And then at the bottom, we've just got subtotal and then whether or not it's been paid. We've got our billing address, our shipping address, supplier's name and address, and then our company logo. And that's it. So very clean, very simple, professional looking, and yeah, works like a charm. So a lot of bands says, is this challenge beginner friendly from start to finish? So yes, it is beginner friendly for sure. It's actually geared towards sellers of all levels. So if you're brand new to the Amazon business, you will definitely, you'll get a ton from this challenge. Even if you've been around the block for a time or two, a couple of years, however long, there's still things that you're going to gather from this challenge. It's going to be one of those things where you might pick up like a few advanced tips here and there, but it's going to you're going to make the cost of the challenge back like tenfold from stuff like that.
Dude, this guy on Instagram said I look like Rory McIlroy. My grandma always says that.
Rory? Yeah. I mean, maybe.
Because my hair used to be longer. If you look at a picture of me back,
I see it.
It used to be a lot longer.
I see it. So you've got Morgan Wallen, you've got Rory McIlroy. Who else do you get?
The guy from Ferris Bueller.
Oh,
Matthew, I think.
Matthew.
Yeah. Actually accurate though. Yeah, that one's like actually accurate though.
Yeah, I see that. Definitely more so than the other ones. Okay, so someone asked, can you give info on some of the template scripts and resources that come with the challenge? Yeah, so you're going to get the email templates that I use to open over 400 wholesale accounts from my 4+ years of being in the business, the exact ones. There's going to be ones for brands, there's going to be ones for distributors, and then there's going to be some for LinkedIn as well. There's going to be a collection of 10 SOPs. And so SOPs are standard operating procedures, and they're basically just like a checklist for how to do certain stuff within the business. So you can either take those SOPs and implement them yourself immediately, or you could hire an employee, hand them the SOPs, and then now they can handle that task for you. And then as far as resources, so we're going to have a bunch of different guides. There's going to be my VA playbook. So it's how to find, hire, and manage rockstar virtual assistants. There's going to be a trade show playbook. So it's going to be how to dominate trade shows as an Amazon seller. There's going to be a how to hire a prep center guide, because like I said, my business is 100% remote. So we're going to teach you exactly how to get set up with a solid prep center. And I mean, so much more. The website has most of it there. And I think my Twitter thread about it earlier has a lot of information as well. So again, check out wholesalechallenge.com. Only thing you look at like is a seed oil.
Yeah, Corey, you are the type of dude you're like the type of dude to still use sunscreen, actually.
I use so much sunscreen. I got fried on Saturday. I'm here in California.
You're eating seed oils. It's because
I didn't use enough.
Yeah, because you're eating seed oils. Yeah, cost of the chat. Yeah, see, Chris knows. Right there. Yeah. So it's $500. You can get $100 off using the code that's in the description. That fills the vending machines on the movie The Troop. That's very descriptive, actually. Have you ever gotten that one before?
Yeah, I've not gotten that one before. Mark Zuckerberg is definitely the most common. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention, so you just said it was 500, but you could use the code. So we do have a pay in installments option as well. So if you can't afford the full price up front, there is an option to pay. I believe it's 177 a month for 3 months. So we wanted to make it accessible to everybody. As he said, I see Zuck. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people do.
Is this voice chat interactive or just chat? Voice chat. I'm pretty positive, right?
So when you say voice interactive, I assume he means can they ask me questions like over voice? I assume that's what he means. But so no, that won't be the case. So it'll be like I will be live, I will be talking, and I will be doing a Q&A. But the viewers will it'll all be text from you guys that will be watching it, and I'll just be pretty much going down the list answering questions. Yeah, and so like Chris said, and so for folks who don't know Christopher Grant, he's my co-host in this. He just pointed out deadline's going to be July 9th, and we start on July 10th. So if you're at all interested, just make sure you get signed up before July 9th. And Billy's spamming his code as he should.
Yeah, all right. I'm putting him in timeout. That's annoying. He's been doing that all night too. Yeah. Yeah, use code Max. It's good banter.
So, and somebody asked, how long into wholesale until you got your first brand exclusive deal? So I started the relationship with what ended up being my first exclusive deal probably 3 to 4 months into wholesale, because I started out primarily approaching brands directly, which is to get your exclusives. It's going to be with the brand directly, and started working with this brand. Like I said, 3 to 4 months into wholesale. It took honestly, it took about a full year to get them to commit and fully implement a couple of their best products for us to be exclusive on. But like I said, that relationship started a couple months into my journey. How long do funds usually take to deposit from sales to funds available? I'm a new seller, if that impacts anything. So Miles, you're going to know better than me as far as FBM, but for FBA sales, you get paid on a 2-week, well, really any sales, you get paid on a 2-week cycle. And typically, I believe the hold on your sales is at about 2 weeks, Miles, for FBA sales on average, like the funds hold.
Yeah, because it's like 2 weeks after the 7-day delivery day. And the problem is when you're new, you also aren't getting like daily payouts yet either.
Yeah, so when you're newer, yeah, well, it does take a longer to get paid, and I guess your cash flow cycle is going to be a little more extended because it's almost because like it's a new account. Amazon doesn't necessarily trust you yet, but yeah, that gets easier over time. Ethan says, "Does Corey have ears?"
He's got the Wi-Fi astronaut headphones on right now.
Yeah, I love these things. I wear these like I probably have these things on for 3 hours a day at least. Corey, do you recommend doing brand direct or distributors when starting out? So I think it helps to do a mix, and I think it makes sense to whichever one you end up getting more traction with early on to then double down on that route. So in fact, part of the challenge, one of the bonuses of the challenge is we're going to give you a 21-day action plan for how to succeed after the challenge. And part of that is going to lay out exactly how many brands you should contact per day, how many distributors you should contact per day, how you should follow up with those leads. Because like I said, if you end up finding more traction with the brand direct route, then I'm going to say double down on that. If you end up finding a lot more good products quicker through distribution, then I'm going to tell you to double down on that. So it is a kind of a case by case basis. Billy Flips was banned and their comments were removed. He's gonna be salty.
I gotta figure out how to unban him because he streams with me. But yeah, do IP complaints? Oh, dude, for sure. Well, like distributors, not brand direct, but distributors for sure. Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times, especially, and this is usually the case with bigger brands, but if you're buying the brand through a distributor and not directly from the brand themselves, then yes, there will always be a risk of an IP complaint. If your distributor is legitimate, your invoice is going to typically help guard you against that. You can get those removed sometimes if you have a legitimate invoice. But if you're dealing directly with the brand themselves, then that's a non-issue, right? Because like obviously the brand knows who you are. They know you're selling it on Amazon. They won't be issuing IP complaints against you if you're an authorized seller, which,
Makes sense. Cool. All right, guys.
IP
We'll be on.
complaints are the worst kind of Amazon program. I agree.
Yeah. So we'll be on for 5 more minutes or so. So we got 100 of you guys in here. So first of all, thank you guys for spending some of your Monday night with us. Absolutely awesome. Right there. Feel free. Any questions? Keep dropping them in the chat. We'll keep answering them and everything.
Yeah. And guys, I'm an open book. So anything, I mean, it doesn't have to be about the challenge either, just wholesale in general. Yeah, ask away. Let's see if I might scroll up. I think we probably missed some at some point. Okay, so Hassan earlier asked, how many suppliers should we have to reach out to a day? So my answer on that is it doesn't really take, well, so I mean as many as you can, but as many quality suppliers as you can. So I think there's a big difference between just reaching out to 50 random companies that may or may not have brand name products at wholesale pricing. I think there's a difference between doing that and reaching out to, let's say, 5 to 10 solid, targeted, vetted distributors that you think if you can get the account open, you think they're going to be a good account, right? Like that, in my opinion, is a much better approach. And again, it takes time to kind of know what a quality lead is. But once you can determine what that is, then like the sniper approach is going to be a lot more effective than the shotgun approach. So let's see. Oh, we got a lot of questions since then. So what is your top category? So my top category, I said this earlier, right now is tools and home improvement, followed by industrial and scientific, followed by automotive, followed by grocery.
Do you ever reverse storefronts?
And so this guy said, how much?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, reverse storefronts. So
Probably not, right?
let's see, reverse storefront source. So, well, what we do, we do that, and that's a method that I'll be teaching in the challenge. Actually, we do that to find brand leads to reach out to. So there's plenty of times where we'll see another seller on a listing, and I'll look into their storefront, and I can pretty easily tell whether or not they're doing wholesale, right? Just based on the types of products they sell, how many SKUs they have. And there's plenty of times where I'll have my team, I'll say to my team, hey, here's a link to somebody's storefront, go through and let's pick out some brands that we might want to reach out to. And there's been times where we picked out 5, 10, 12, sometimes up to maybe 15 brands that a competing wholesale seller is selling, where now we're going to call them up and we're going to try to get an account with them, right? And if we can't, then we're going to try to find a distributor for those brands. So that's honestly one of the most effective strategies, because it's like they've already done the work for you. They're selling the product, they're working with the brand, so if you can get the account, it's going to be good.
That's what's up.
So Chris said, what are some important things to learn about a niche you want to get into?
Oh,
sorry,
my
I'm
bad.
lagging a little behind.
I thought you read the whole thing. My bad. It's up on the screen.
So what are some important things to learn about a niche and you want to get into? That'll help when you want to get into, that'll help when you speak to suppliers. So really, a very important thing to learn is the lingo in a specific niche. And so a lot of that is kind of not necessarily niche specific. So when you're talking about shipping, like LTL means less than truckload shipping. A BOL is bill of lading. That's a document that accompanies a freight shipment, right? That's going to be across the board when you're dealing with suppliers. But there is a lot of lingo that will be specific to a niche, like, for example, some terms that are used in the toy industry that aren't used in like the tool industry, that are going to come from experience. So working with these suppliers, placing orders, buying these products, selling these products, that's how you get familiar with a niche and kind of master it.
Yeah, and like the stuff that's going to compound is like the actions you take too with anything, right? And that like some of you guys watching this, like you think you kind of want to do wholesale, right? Which I think you should do. And you've never called any supplier, right? And you're at you have some really specific questions and such. Meanwhile, what actually gets close to your goal and gives you the chance to get lucky and make money is if you start doing outreach and everything. So like there, you got to ebb and flow between learning and applying, basically, because you're going to learn a lot more applying than you are simply just learning, basically. And obviously, we're doing stuff like this to help you guys. And if people like, yeah, you got to get out there in the trenches and start making things happen for things to happen for you. Okay, cool. Here we go.
Yeah, so this is a good question. So a dealer is a retailer. So I'm a dealer, right? A dealer is typically think about them as like the customer of a distributor. So distributors have their dealers, brands have their dealers, and those are just other retail businesses that are buying from them at wholesale. That's what a dealer is. Wholesaler is typically a supplier that is just selling merchandise at wholesale pricing to dealers. Same thing with a distributor. Distributor is a supplier that is selling at wholesale pricing to a dealer, aka retailer.
How do we offer a brand more value if we can get the account open? Good one too. I really like this dude. I talked to this dude on Instagram. So I can't remember his name, but I talked to him. Like I recognize his IG name though.
Yeah, and he shows a lot of love on YouTube. He's always got good questions.
Cool. Yeah, he's in your stream, which is fucking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. He's always been supporting, so I appreciate that. But yeah, so as far as offering a brand more value, so in fact, I have very recent experience on this. So there's a brand that I mentioned earlier in this call, this large brand in the grocery category, where they've got a lot of products that are doing a lot of volume, but their Amazon presence is a nightmare. So for example, this one brand, they've got a 10 ounce and it's one flavor of a hot sauce. They've got so many different listings for this one flavor and this one size. They've got a listing for a 3-pack, which is a different ASIN from a listing that's a 6-pack, which is a different ASIN from a listing that's a 12-pack. You see what I mean? So it's like the customer experience is terrible. What they need to do is they need to group all those pack sizes into one listing where a customer can select, I want this flavor, I want this size, and I want this pack size, whether it's, 1 bottle, whether it's 3 bottles, whether it's 6 bottles, because one, conversion's going to go up, the brand's going to look better. And that's just something that I pitched to the brand owner as being like, listen, like you guys need to make this move because your customers are going to like it a lot more. So it's like that type of stuff, that just looking for deficiencies in their listings and then pitching it to them in a way that shows them like, hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And obviously that's going to be a good thing.
Cool. All right. Sounds good, everyone. So
Street Matt said, not all distributors are wholesalers, but all wholesalers are distributors. So that there is definitely a little bit of nuance when it comes to like wholesaler versus distributor. Some people might even have a different definition from me, but yeah, I don't want to go into the weeds on that just because I don't want to confuse people with, again, this being more of like a higher level conversation. But again, we go into all the details of finding suppliers, which suppliers are which in the challenge.
Cool. All right. Sounds good, everyone. So we'll see you guys in the next one. If you do want to take advantage of the wholesale challenge, use the link in the description, use the code in the description. You get $100 off. Drop me an email, send you some leads as well. Either way, we'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you're following Corey on YouTube and on Twitter. You have any final words for the people? We'll be back though.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Miles. Thanks for having me, man.
Sweet. Take it easy, everyone. Have a great night.